Hello, moviegoers, and welcome to another edition of Have You Seen It? I'm your host, Denise, and before I get into my review, I've got to tell you who my favorite actor is this week. My favorite actor is Sarah Paulson, and you may know her from The People versus O.J. Simpson, where she played Marcia Clark, and she was so good in that role. I mean, the hair, the mole on Marcia Clark's face, her voice, her mannerisms, everything about her was she just really took that character to another level. If you have seen Impeachment, one of those American crime stories, the story of former President Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, she played the role of Linda Tripp. And the makeup was so good that there were times that I thought she was Linda Tripp. She played that role so well. And then in the limited series, Ratchet, where she played a very ratchet nurse. So Sarah Paulson, fantastic actor. She's my favorite actor this week. All right, folks, I'm going to get into my review. And my review this week is the movie Nuremberg. It stars Russell Crowe, Rami Malek, Michael Shannon, Leo Woodall, Lydia Peckman, John Slattery, and a whole lot of other folks. But those are the main characters that you see throughout the film. Okay, this movie takes place World War II era. And we've got Rami Malek's character. He plays a psychiatrist whose job is to evaluate Nazi leaders who were under Adolf Hitler before the Nuremberg trials, okay? So his job was to just evaluate each of these men to get a sense of what their psyche was as they were carrying out the heinous crimes that we all know about during that Holocaust era. So when the movie begins, Rami Malek's character is on a train on his way to where these gentlemen are. And he meets on the train a reporter. We find out, she's a reporter. And she kind of, she's going there for the same reason. She's going there as a reporter, journalist, but he is there for another purpose. And they have a little chit chat. So towards the end of the movie, that dialogue between the two of them, just that little chit chat, will come back to haunt our main character, if you will. So when Rami Malek arrives at the prison where these gentlemen are awaiting trial, the leader of this group of gentlemen, they're quite a few, but there are 3 or 4 that are of the main concern and who will be on trial, who will be interrogated the most. Russell Crowe plays the role of Hermann Göring. So he was the leader directly under Adolf Hitler. So he had quite a bit of clout and prestige, if you will. He himself is still in an area, I think it's, like his home or a very posh environment until he is actually taken off to jail. And so in evaluating him, Hermann Göring speaks German, okay? The psychiatrist does not, but there's a translator. So this translator also is a key individual in this film, of which you will find out much later as well. So once he becomes comfortable with Hermann Goring and Hermann Goring becomes comfortable with him, Hermann Goring kind of lets down his guard a bit and speaks less German and more English, because he realizes that the psychiatrist has kind of played him in that regard. So the movie basically is showing you how this psychiatrist and how this particular inmate form a not quite a friendship. Hermann Goring would like to think that it is, but the comfort level is such that the psychiatrist really, really wants to delve into the evil behind everything that was done at the, during this horrible time in our history. And so there's a lot of jail time where their meetings are now in the jail cell, and once they are now ready for these gentlemen to go to trial, a courtroom is being constructed actually in an abandoned building, if you will. I'll just say just an abandoned building that has to be constructed to hold about a few hundred people who are going to be there to witness this trial. And so during that time of construction is when all of the conversations, go back and forth. So you fast forward, and of course you've got justice from the United States, you've got Great Britain, and you've got a couple other allies who are also part of this trial and part of gathering information and sharing how are we going to bring these people to justice, because we know the heinous crimes that they've done, but they are so arrogant in their behavior and character that they feel like nothing's going to happen to us. Whatever was done, but there's probably not much that you can do to make sure that we spend our lives in jail or we are executed for what we have done. So the movie has a running time of 2 hours, 28 minutes. Although I was not clock watching, because it was a very interesting story in its, historical context, of course, I was just a little tired. So, but not because I was bored. It was an interesting movie. And so we got 2 hours, 28 minutes. And during the courtroom scene where these gentlemen are being interrogated, especially Hermann Goring, who's the most arrogant of the whole group of gentlemen, they showed video clips of all of the atrocities that happened in these concentration camps. And this is real footage that we have seen over the years. And this is not Hollywood. This is real footage. And it's being narrated. So there's a voiceover explaining what is going on. And that just sickened me. It just to see that. And it wasn't just like a short clip. It was, a couple of reels of the heinous crimes that took place in those concentration camps. I was appalled. And so that's what was shown in that courtroom. And being asked direct questions by the prosecutor, Hermann Goring is still sitting there like, what? what? You know, people do bad things all the time. It was that type of arrogance. Countries kill people in other countries all the time. What's the big deal? So it gives you an idea of what the psychiatrist was dealing with. But once, you know, he really, really got to the psychiatrist, the dialogue, there was a very intense cell room interaction between Remy Malek's character and Russell Crowe. Oh, it was so well done. So well done, especially on the part of Remy Malek. So I enjoyed this movie. And if you are a history buff and can tolerate a little bit more detailed information about Nuremberg and what went on and that span of time in World War II, check this movie out. As I sat in the theater, I noticed that most of the people, or quite a few of the people that were in the theater with me, were my age or older. So old enough, and I'll just say this, old enough to know a lot about World War II. There could have been maybe people who were relatives of World War II vets who were sitting in the theater. So that was a good one. Check that one out. All right, folks, I am going to jump into my Nailed It. And my Nailed It this week is the beautiful and talented Charlize Theron, who became the monster. That movie, The Monster, the makeup in that movie was incredible. And she played that role to the hilt. If you just want to pull up a clip of the transformation between the Charlize Theron that we know and what she had to become to play that role. Incredible. So, Charlize Theron is my Nailed It for the movie Monster. All right, folks, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that like button. And remember, I am available on BlueSky at HYSI. All right, moviegoers, you know what to do. Until next week, I need you to see a movie because I'm going to see a movie. Until next week, bye-bye.